I don't care if this topic is outdated. I don't care if everyone has an opinion on this game. All I care about is sharing what makes Sonic and the Black Knight so magical. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Nicholas, but it's Nick for short, and I love this game with all my heart and soul. But I couldn't help but ask why. Why does this game work so well for me? Why does the story so perfectly capture the spirit of Sonic? And why does this game succeed in every aspect where every game after it fails? Over the course of playing it again for the first time in over a decade, I need to talk about this game. I need to talk about the magic of Sonic and the Black Knight. The plot of this game is easily the best in the series. Sorry Unleashed fans, but this plot is tight-knit, fresh, and most importantly of all, filled with passion. So let's take it from the top. The scene opens on a bright sun, slowly corrupted by clouds, and then we get our first glimpse at Merlina being chased down by a larger-than-life character, demon in all aspect other than his humanoid appearance. After being surrounded by demonic entities, she summons a hero, a knight as swift as the wind. And of course, here's our hero, Sonic. As our hero enters the fray, it takes no time to realize if there's one aspect this game nails better than any other in the franchise, it's Sonic. One of the best and most iconic lines Sonic has ever spoken comes out after he examines his surroundings. Someone in need, an army of demons, and a warrior mightier and more mythical than anything he's ever seen. With a smile on his face, he turns to Merlina and says,
"Oh, I get it. No problem. I'm used to stuff like this."
The cockiness he shows in both tone and mannerisms is so in character it's breathtaking. What I love is that the storyboard and writers made sure not to let Sonic be stupid, however. When taking on King Arthur, he isn't smiling and laughing. He's got his game face on. He's getting ready for a fight. And can we all really appreciate that Sonic, with no real idea of what's going on, has enough understanding and control to know in order to save this girl from this devil, he needs to truly fight. And when Merlina makes the wise decision to pull back, the first thing on his mind is that his chili dog just flew away. Is there anything more in character? Is there anything more Sonic? Everything about that opening perfectly encapsulates Sonic. Everything about that opening shows his attitude and beliefs. Everything about that opening perfectly kickstarts this epic story. Now bear with me, because I'm going to talk about how from a narrative analysis perspective, Sonic fulfills his role to a T, and the rest of the story is equally as well executed. But I'm going to do so as we move along in the plot summary because I don't think there's a single aspect that deserves to be glossed over. That being said, let's continue. Merlina explains her origin as the granddaughter of the great wizard Merlin, and how King Arthur has become corrupted and immortal by the scabbard of Excalibur, which the Lady of the Lake gifted to him. Which naturally means their next destination is getting the sacred sword Caliburn and heading to the Lady of the Lake. A couple levels later, we get another great character moment. Merlina has Sonic pull out Caliburn from his stone, seeing as it may be the only weapon which can defeat King Arthur. And when Merlina warns him of the dishonorable reputation he'll have for stopping King Arthur, the worst of knights, slayer of kings, he doesn't care.
Guess I can't be the hero every time.
This does such a fantastic job at conveying to the audience who Sonic is. It's blatantly obvious he's the hero of this story, and to hear him say that even if he's hated, as long as he's doing what's right, he's more than happy, which is such a fantastic character moment in both the context of the franchise and as a self-contained story. Once Caliburn is pulled out of the Sacred Stone, they have some snappy back and forth before King Arthur launches an ambush on them. Although victory is achieved, our two heroes still don't see eye to eye, considering Caliburn is by the books and obsessed with chivalry, dubbing Sonic Knave the Hedgehog until properly trained. Which, as I'm sure you can imagine, Sonic does not take lying down. The three walk together to devise a plan when suddenly Merlina goes quiet.
Why do flowers bloom, knowing they are destined to wither?
Huh?
Their time of beauty is so short-lived.
Merlina clearly has a severe case of thanatophobia, although I'll admit it's a little out of nowhere without playing the rest of the story. Considering Merlina decides to stay in hiding after this scene until Sonic is prepared to stop King Arthur, I'd say it isn't entirely random. Her grand plan's completion grows ever closer, and her passion for it even stronger. I'll dive more into her character later once we get to the climax. But once Merlina goes back to talking with Sonic and Caliburn, they decide Sonic and Caliburn should head into town, visit the smithy, and then head straight to the Lady of the Lake. After Caliburn gets a good polish, they encounter Lancelot, but after they swiftly defeat him, Caliburn asks Sonic why he didn't finish the job. It was an insult to Lancelot's honor, and again, Sonic doesn't seem to care much about the standards of chivalry because he doesn't deem it necessary. This right here is the main conflict between Sonic and Caliburn throughout the rest of the game until their eventual friendship. You know what? Let's talk about another underrated character in this game. Caliburn. Caliburn being the Holy Sword Caliburn and later Excalibur, he's very much so, like I said, by the books. He believes in chivalry, all of the classic medieval knights' values. He very much has different values than Sonic. Although they both want to do the right thing and stop King Arthur, Caliburn would much rather do things the knightly way. And that's where Sonic comes into play. He doesn't care about chivalry, honor, any of that knightlyhood stuff. All he cares about is doing what's right to help save other people. And as we'll see as the story goes along, Sonic's philosophy begins to rub off on Caliburn, teaching him that doing what's right is more important than how to properly be a knight. And while Sonic's characterization is brought up again, I want to explain Sonic's place in a story. Because great characterization aside, Sonic is a flat character as far as his role in a narrative is concerned. Flat characters are ones whose values are set in stone, so instead of changing themselves, their actions change the world around them, and that's prevalent throughout the entire game. Specifically, he affects characters' outlooks on living life, as we'll soon see now entering the second act of the story. As we begin, Sonic and Caliburn reach the Lady of the Lake and are given 3 tasks to prove their worth. He must prove his heroism, compassion, and bravery in 3 days' time. But after the challenges have been completed and the duo are rushing back to the lake with no time to spare, Sonic finds an innocent girl crying on the side of the road. She says her town and parents were taken by a dragon and whisked away to a mountain down a ways. Even with the time limit almost expired and the fate of the kingdom all hinged on his timely return, Sonic follows his heart. He knows what's most important is to do the right thing, and regardless of the consequences, Sonic knows this is the right thing to do, much to Caliburn's dismay. And off they go. This may not sound like a lot, and I promise you, I'm not just saying this to add some drama to the video, but this scene made me cry. This scene made me cry because of just how far we've fallen in terms of the franchise. This scene made me cry because it perfectly showed in one simple act of heroism who Sonic truly is. This scene made me cry because it reminded me of why I love Sonic. I love Sonic because he's a hero with attitude, style, and showmanship, a hero with uncompromising just morals, and a hero who above all else does what's right to save people. Be it woodland critters, people, or these goblin-looking townspeople in a world he's never known, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care because Sonic is the type of character who will always save the innocent and do what's right. And here's where Sonic as a flat character begins to change the people around him for the better because that's who he is. On the way to the dragon, they run into Gwaine, and after the battle is done, one of the most important cutscenes in the game occurs. Now, I understand the whole, oh my god, Knuckles tried to kill himself thing, but actually, no. That's a medieval Knight of the Round Table, and it's extremely important to showcase how Sonic is strengthening the doubt felt by King Arthur's most loyal comrades. At the start of the story, all the knights are loyal to the king, but even so, they've seen his change for the worst. But Sonic's fantastic line,
Isn't there more to being a knight than just serving a king?
is what visibly changes Gwaine's outlook on his duty and the meaning of chivalry. Granted, that's not a 180 on Gwaine's outlook on chivalry, but he is believing more that he needs to do what's right instead of being loyal to the king. That line shows most explicitly how Sonic has been acting. That line shows that Sonic doesn't care about honor or knighthood. That line shows that Sonic is a hero. This is the first outward case of Sonic being a flat character and it truly taking effect. He's beginning to change those around him for the better. Now, I know that I'm talking a lot about Sonic's characterization, but it really is such a prevalent thing throughout the entire story that it's hard to just gloss over it. Practically every line he says is so in character that it's genuinely surprising. Of course, the whole dragon thing was obviously just the Lady of the Lake's true test for Sonic, and he passed with flying colors. So the Lady of the Lake tells them to use the swords of the Knights of the Round Table to stop King Arthur. And just before they set out on this journey, Sonic and Caliburn have a small moment where Sonic admits he's getting used to Caliburn, and even compliments him, leaving Caliburn flustered. For the last of the knights that need to be stopped, it's Percival, and she's swiftly dealt with, but in typical Sonic fashion, he saves her life without a second thought. Percival is confused and Caliburn is quick to tease, but I can't do this moment much justice, so it's better if I just play it.
You jealous or something?
For a knave such as you? Ridiculous.
Enough of that knave stuff already.
Actually,
Yes?
Sonic the Hedgehog, you have mastered the code of chivalry. From this day forth, you shall be Sir Sonic, Knight of the Wind.
The way Sonic is genuinely annoyed with Caliburn being so condescending, and how it even makes Calibur subtly rethink his treatment of Sonic and his thoughts on this entire adventure, well, it's just so sweet and heartfelt. It really solidifies their bond as partners and now friends. And now, suddenly after the battle, Merlina shows up again, thanking Sonic for all that he's done. And he says he'll be off to end this, and she'll be waiting for him at Camelot Castle. And this is very well one of my favorite scenes in the entire franchise, because this is Sonic.
I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, Knight of the Wind. Let's settle this once and for all, King Arthur.
It seems your impersonation of a knight has improved somewhat.
I have you to thank for that.
Then let us have another look at that unsightly swordsmanship.
You're gonna be sorry you asked. This is it, old pal.
Indeed. Give it everything you have. Only then will you prevail.
Then bring it on, King Arthur!
Confronting King Arthur with his newfound friend and partner, with the Knight of the Wind blaring in the background, it truly captures the essence of Sonic, and frankly, I just adore it. But after King Arthur's defeat, Sonic takes the scabbard back to Merlina, who swiftly begins to use its evil power for her own personal gain. Sonic and the Knights of the Round Table escape the crumbling castle as it collapses around them. And this is something that really took me by surprise, because this just doesn't happen anymore with this franchise. We used to get not just CGI openings, but often several short CGI cutscenes to enhance the game and make it feel larger than life, and we haven't got one of those since this game, and that's such a shame since it really does make this feel like a grand epic moment. But Sonic's influence has spread to those around him, and his ideals and optimism have been instilled into the Knights of the Round Table because of Sonic's previous actions throughout the story, changing them for the better. Because not only does that fit with his character, but also his character archetype as a flat character. With the Lady of the Lake's help, the three knights and Sonic form a barrier so Sonic can enter the kingdom and confront Merlina, now the Dark Queen. As Sonic confronts Merlina, he asks, why'd she do it? Using the power of the scabbard, she knew that she could become the ultimate wizard. And she wants to create a world that will go on forever. Like I said, Merlina suffers from thanatophobia. She's seen the future, and she knows that everything that she loves will eventually crumble, and she cannot cope with that. Sonic tries to resist. He tries to tell her that living life to the fullest is what's most important, and that having a world that goes on forever removes the meaning of life itself. But unfortunately, she doesn't care to listen. Sonic gets beaten and battered, and no matter what the Knights of the Round Table say, he isn't going to budge. Even after losing Caliburn, he isn't going to budge. Even at the brink of death, he isn't going to budge. Why? This scene. To this day, it gives me goosebumps. To this day, it reminds me of what true courage is. To this day, it reminds me why a series about a super fast blue hedgehog has shaped me into who I am so drastically. This is Sonic living life to the fullest. This is Sonic living by the values he later instills in Merlina. This is Sonic doing what he feels is right. And that's why when he earns Excalibur and takes down the Dark Queen, it was so truly epic and one of the most climactic boss fights I'd had ever experienced as a child, and even to this day, it still holds up strong in my eyes. But once the Dark Queen is stripped of her power, we aren't shown Sonic being cocky, we aren't shown some kind of celebration, we are shown a conversation. A simple, down-to-earth, honest conversation.
Merlina, every world has its end. I know that's kind of sad, but that's why we gotta live life to the fullest in the time we have. At least, that's what I figure.
Grandfather.
This scene is still my favorite Sonic cutscene to this day. People often say Unleashed and Black Knight are the best versions of Sonic, grouping them as one, but I disagree. This type of tone and personality is how Sonic acts for almost all of Unleashed. He's reserved to an extent, friendly, kind, gentle, but not Black Knight's interpretation. In this game, Sonic is rude, blunt, filled with attitude.
This could go on forever. You sure you're a sacred sword? Well, it's your fault. You're a sad excuse for a teacher.
But even so, never takes it too far. He knows what's important, and when push comes to shove, he's got a soft side. He knows when to be cocky, when to be serious, and most importantly, when to be genuine. And this cutscene is genuine, and the fact that Sonic was such an attitude-ridden punk for the rest of the game makes this all the more impactful. But for the last character that I really want to go in depth on, it's Merlina. What Merlina suffers from, as I said, is thanatophobia, which is the fear of death. which is often caused when someone experiences loss at a young age. And what I think is far too overlooked is when Merlina quietly calls out to her grandfather while holding a freshly picked flower. Merlina clearly lost her grandfather at a young age, and it hit her hard enough to nearly destroy everything in an effort to save everything. And that is why she is one of my favorite characters in the entire series, and dare I say, just as tragic as Shadow himself in terms of their origins. And in my opinion, her story is just as powerful. And as the credits roll on a positive note where Sonic is back in his reality and we as an audience are left with a sense of satisfaction knowing we both saved the kingdom and were crowned the one true King Arthur, that's really not the point. The point is, Sonic learned to understand his partner and earn his respect, making them true friends. The point is, Sonic brought a new outlook on chivalry and honor to the Knights of the Round Table. The point is, Sonic brought light into someone's world when all they had ever known was darkness. And you want to know what's crazy? That's just the story. The gameplay of Sonic and the Black Knight is easily one of the most bare in the entire series, but somehow it works. Somehow it perfectly complements every other aspect of the game. The sword combat is hardly fluid, but it's far from clunky, and the buzzsaw move is easily the best tool in Sonic's arsenal and keeps the speed up. As the game continues, you begin to access new features like the Soul Gauge, which is one of the coolest and most satisfying moves in a Sonic game in my humble opinion. And I didn't even know this existed till my most recent playthrough, but once you unlock the other Knights of the Round Table and stages, you can use all of that useless, and yes, I mean useless crap on crafting weapons. Yeah, that's right, you can actually take all of this junk that never has any purpose and actually craft weapons for Shadow, Knuckles, and Blaze. And yeah, I know they're not really those characters, but I'm tired of saying Knights of the Round Table. But the problem is how late into the game this is. The game never explains what these items do, let alone their purpose, because the blacksmith is criminally underused. On top of that, you can even change Sonic's combat style to be a more speed or combat-oriented style with cool new moves, but they make such an insignificant difference they're hardly worth equipping, unless you're grinding out levels for upgrades. The equipment is just as underplayed, all often in service of helping you unlock more craftable stuff that isn't useful until the game is already 3/4 over. If the blacksmith were more developed, or honestly just had these unlocks happen earlier in the game, we'd be looking at a pretty half-decent on-rail speed-oriented hack and slash, but we aren't. We're looking at junk food as a gameplay style, and frankly, I think that's kind of perfect for this game. Now, the game would 100% feel, and most likely would be more substantial if my critiques were fixed, but considering the extremely short runtime, I think this game feels more than dense. Dense with a phenomenal story, with fast-paced gameplay with some of the coolest set pieces in the franchise. The Wii Remote gimmicks are largely negligible, and swinging the sword around is really not that bad. And the aesthetic is out of this world. Enemy design is varied and further strengthened by a well-paced difficulty curve. The fast and stylish gameplay masks the lack of depth in the gameplay. I'd argue that there is depth in this gameplay, but it's really just one solid foundational layer and not much more, which I think is more than fine for a 3-hour game like this. The game knows what it wants to be. It wants to be a fast-paced, story-driven Sonic fantasy game, and it excels at that with flying colors. If this were a mainline Sonic title, this would not be acceptable, but considering it is a smaller scale spin-off, I think it works just fine. On top of that, this game actually very much so encourages replayability. There are tons of post-game missions, which, collecting things from those missions will help you craft more items, and thus it's a big cycle that keeps continuing onward, and I think that is a very effective way to increase game time from a short game like this. As for looks and sound, for Pete's sake, just look at the game! The look of Camelot is both medieval and fantasy, with huge set pieces of castles, towns surrounded by forests, and even volcanic mines that all seamlessly fit together to make for one of the most visually stunning games in the series. It's both realistic, yet cartoonish, with exaggerated demon designs and a larger-than-life dragon to slay, all of which somehow managed to fit perfectly with Sonic the Hedgehog. The soundtrack composed by Jun Senoue is loud, powerful, adrenaline-pumping, and everything you want in a Sonic game. Its new tracks double down on the adventure-styled electric guitar while adding strings for a medieval feel, but it uses the previous adventure tracks like Shadow's theme and Knuckles' theme being reused at a sense of real continuity, which is very much appreciated. But my favorite aspect of the soundtrack is the overabundance of Crush 40. They have several vocal tracks in this game, like the excellent Through the Fire, Fight the Night, Night of the Wind, and especially Live Life, some of my favorite tracks in the entire franchise. The OST is just that fantastic, easily one of my favorites in the series, top 3 for sure. The cutscenes further showcase how natural Sonic looks in this world, with amazing artwork with dynamic panel placement that truly make the cutscenes feel alive, not just like a comic book, but really feel like they're moving and are alive. And the fact that this is such a visual marvel and it was released on the Wii truly showcases how this game is in desperate need of an updated release in my opinion, ultimate treatment and all. Sonic and the Black Knight is a special game. One with simple gameplay, a fantastic story, and some of the best music and aesthetically pleasing visual design in the entire series. And somehow, even with its small scale, earned a place in my heart as one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. Although the gameplay is simple, it has a solid enough foundation to provide fun, frantic, fast-paced action gameplay which more than satisfies the game's 3-hour runtime. The story holds this game together, enhancing everything else with quick pacing and some of the best character work in the entire series, providing more than enough interest and engagement to keep players going till the final credits roll at least. And the music and graphical style pick up any of the slack left over, causing it to surpass its storybook series restrictions and elevate itself to feeling like a true, genuine Sonic game. This was easily one of the hardest scripts I've ever had to write. I love this game with all my heart, and I had so much to say with such real, genuine passion to say it with, I just struggled to say it as perfectly as I could. And I think that's the real magic. Sonic and the Black Knight above all else was made with one thing, and that's passion. A love for the character and telling the greatest story they could about justice, understanding, and most importantly, the value of life. And that I think is the real magic here. Passion and love for the franchise, Sonic, and storytelling. That is the real magic of Sonic and the Black Knight.